What's up guys, I'm Bella and you're watching another Frog Food. Today we are doing a tutorial on hands. Hands can be challenging, so here are a few of my tips and tricks to make it a little bit easier. Let's get started. Here we have a picture of an open palm. I find that whenever I try to draw anything, it's always easier to just break it into simple shapes. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I always start out with the palm first whenever I draw a hand. I find that it's the most important thing to get right for a hand proportion-wise. Your index finger and your middle finger are connected by like an upward slant. So we're gonna draw that first. And then your ring finger and your pinky finger are connected by like a downward slant. So then that's next. Everything else is pretty much just connected by a rectangle sort of shape. So we're gonna connect all that. Not thinking about the thumb yet. And then you end up with a shape that's kind of like a house, rectangle-ish thing. Next, I draw the fingers. I start out with just lines, making sure to get the various lengths correct. Like the pinky is the smallest one, and then your middle finger is your longest finger, and then second longest is your index, and then third is your ring finger. I like to make my fingers pretty long, but that's just a style choice. I also like to make them a little rectangular, but again, that's just my personal preference. Next, I turn my lines into fingers. I do this by simply making them rectangles, connecting them to the palm. When they meet the palm, there's like a curvature action going on there. I highly recommend using a reference. Like they say, draw from life. You will learn, you will get better so much faster. No one comes up with these ideas on their own. So use a reference, guys. You take pictures of your own hands, go on Pinterest, go on Google, find different resources, find YouTube videos, all that good stuff. You will learn much faster and have a much more enjoyable experience than trying to do everything from your memory. Next is the thumb. As you can see, there's this sort of like chicken leg situation going on here. As you kind of draw that muscle and then you go into the finger. And so that's what I do. It's like a trapezoid sort of shape. Sketch that out really quickly and then a line for your thumb. And after that, you just turn the line into the actual shape of your thumb. Some people's thumbs go like way back. They can like bend back like that. And some people's are super straight. I try to just follow the general shape of whatever my reference is doing. Last, but certainly not least, is the wrist. This is my favorite part because this is the easiest. When your hand attaches to the rest of your body, there is a sort of curve thing here. So we have to make sure to illustrate that. There's also a knob on the other side of your wrist. It's like a bone or something. I usually exaggerate that a little bit. So you just go in and come back out and then curve back down. I don't usually use any special shapes for the wrist. I mainly just outline it in a thick brush. I feel it's very important to use thick brushes for my workflow because it gives me a little more just like a rough, big idea, big picture sort of feel. And then I go back in with darker colors and smaller brushes until I get to the line art. So this is our rule of thumb when drawing hands. Let's see how it applies to different poses. Here we have a peace sign pose. We're gonna follow the same general shape pattern that we did before. Palm is a rectangle sort of square thing here. We only have two fingers to worry about that are, open. Those ones are usually kind of a little bit harder to draw. Two lines there, fill those in to be rectangles, have them curve into each other and come back out. Oh. Also, I use Procreate, and a cheat for Procreate if you want to undo things is just tap with two fingers and you can undo any mistakes or, anything that you don't want to be there. All right, so we're gonna just finish those two fingers. Now, the fingers here under your thumb are stuck together, right? So they're basically just one shape at this point. We're just gonna draw those two together as a rough square sort of shape, confident lines so that we don't overthink too much. And the thumb is in a much different position than it was before, but it is still a line, guys. Not too much to worry about. So we're gonna follow the general shape of how it comes out of the hand here and turn that into another rectangle. We have the crease. Creases are very important to show that things are folding and, you know, moving how they would in real life. So we have to make sure that we get those as well. Next is the wrist. Literally just 2 straight lines down, sort of straight lines down, and we have our peace sign. Now that we've traced over our photographs, which by the way is a fantastic way to learn. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Feel free to take photos of poses or, you know, for hand studies or eye studies and trace over them to get a feel of how the shapes work, to get a feel of, you know, the different wrinkles and the, you know, hair and folds and the skin, all that sort of thing, because shape is vital to understanding of better understanding of drawing. So yes, no plagiarism. Do not plagiarize, but take your own original photos and trace over them and you'll be fine. Now we're going to draw the thumb from, or the hand pose from the thumbnail. Have I ever talked while drawing before? I have not. Have I ever drawn an incline before? I have not, but we're going to try it today. I'm just gonna start out with our rectangle as shape. It's more of a square this time, so, you know, adapt as needed. Drawing is always all about troubleshooting and adapting, but having your basic sort of like workflow and idea of how you're going to do things is always good. It can help you not overwhelm yourself, and it can help you be a lot faster. I found that's my biggest problem these days. I feel like I take too long to do a lot of things, so working on speed and accuracy is definitely a priority for me. But overall, I think that the biggest, the most detrimental thing to learning how to draw is overwhelming yourself and getting stressed too much. Creativity and stress do not mix, and you have to keep an open mind when you're trying to learn a new skill, because it can take a lot of time. But if you're just proud of yourself every step of the way, then it'll get easier. And oh, look at that. We're getting quicker. So I have a basic-ish hand shape here. I did do one thing different than I did in the breakdown section. When I started off my finger, this finger, I just started with the edge of the pointer finger, and then I just went in and made the rectangle immediately. You can do that, or you can go in with the line. The line is more of just a way to help yourself know where to put the fingers, but I knew this one was on the edge of the hand, so I didn't really need to do that. So if you feel confident enough in your understanding of the pose where you don't need to do a certain step, go ahead and do that. Of course, though, this is just my workflow, and I do notice whenever I watch other tutorials, I'll get really stressed out because they'll do something a certain way that I didn't even think to do, and so then you find yourself, or I find myself scrambling to try out their way, and then I get super stressed, and it's just no good. So don't take this tutorial to heart. Just digest it, pick and choose the parts that you think will help you. I'm not saying that you should do it the way I do it. This is just how I do it, and you guys seem to be interested in the way I do things. So hopefully this helps you in your drawing journey and experience, right? Then you have the wrist there, and we're just going to bring this out a little bit more, because as you can see, there's a sort of a curve out. So we're going to try and emulate that, and just, there we go. Also, you'll know when things look right and when things don't. So don't be afraid to do them over again. I do things over again all the time. I'll draw something a million times before the final time I have to draw it. Because for me, if things aren't the way I want them to be, I cannot put them into the world. So I have to do it a million times until I get it right sometimes. So now what I've done is turned my opacity on, or the opacity on this layer down, so I can go into a layer above it and pay more attention to the reference and get a little bit of a cleaner sketch. I like to do this just to give myself some clarity and not have it so like murky when I'm trying to draw something out. So that's what we're going to do. Now we're just going to pay a little more attention to the reference, maybe pick a darker color because it'll just help me see it more. Paying a little more attention to the reference now, trying to get the shapes a little bit closer to how they actually look here. Trying to make sure everything looks right in relation to each other, because I do like to change the proportions a little bit. I like to make my fingers a little bit longer than how they realistically are, and sometimes that can jack you up. So you have to be careful about making sure everything still looks proportionate. But as I say, once you know the rules, break the rules, and all that sort of thing. And I mean, people draw hands and fingers like a million different ways. There's a million different ways to draw it. So there's really a few basic concepts that you should know, and then you can just piggyback off of those. So now I'm just going in those fingers. They're essentially all one shape, those three fingers there, these, and like a weird triangle house thing again. The hand is made up of a lot of those, I'm noticing. And so we're just going in and going down, separating those. As you can see here, there's the fingers aren't like straight on where there's like nothing behind them and you just see like that part of your finger. You can see that this finger is like going back and connecting with the knuckles, if that makes sense. Like you can see like the rest of the finger and not just the front part. So I do try and get that in the sketch because that's something you take care of when you're coloring. And so when I sketch, I'm just trying to make sure that I give myself that room to do that when I do color. And that's just essentially just bringing it out more and bringing it down and then sharply just putting it in there. Because it is tucked behind the ring finger in this picture, or the pinky is tucked behind the ring finger. So we're gonna make sure that stays that way. And then going in there, that's our middle finger and ring finger. I do like to check back and forth between my layers when I'm working with multiple layers, because it helps me just see where I'm at and what I'm doing wrong, anything I should fix. Sometimes, and then like when you're doing speed paints, it will like look like it's shuddering, and that's just me checking back and forth between my layers. So I apologize for all of you guys having to go through that. But yeah, we're just going through here, connecting that. Luckily there's no like weird bends in this pose. Sometimes I'll draw this pose and it'll be like, I think in the thumbnail, her fingers are like bending in a weird way, and that would, it makes things like unnecessarily difficult, but it does make it look really cool as well. So you can do that if you want. Going in with fingernails, I usually, the way I draw fingernails is like a rectangle. I keep everything about my hands pretty rectangularly, so we're just going in with lines there. We're not gonna pay too much attention to that yet, because we're gonna focus on the rest of the hand. Here, the outer edge of the palm, going in there, connecting to the wrist, checking back to see if it looks good. We're all in the clear. Here, we have that. I should probably learn the names of the muscles in the hand, or like the anatomy of the hand, because I don't know, I'm like not calling this the right stuff. I know these have names and I do not know them. But here we are with those creases and those folds. So we're going to go and fix this finger here. There's a curve right here, and I think the curves are really important. They add more shape. So I'm just going to erase and then make it a little thinner so I can go and curve that in. You can't even see it, but we can fix that if we just erase a little more and curve in. There we go. That is fixed. And we're going to do that on the other side as well, so it doesn't look weird. Bad anatomy is like the bane of my existence. When my stuff doesn't look proportionate, I want to scream. Because it just doesn't look real. And anime characters, I draw a lot of anime characters, and they don't look real anyway. But I heard this. I remember hearing a guy say, where you lack accuracy, you have to make up, or where you lack detail, you have to make up an accuracy. So when you're drawing like anime characters, making sure that you get like the proportions and all that sort of thing right, is still very, very, very important. So that it doesn't look like. So they still look somewhat human. You know what I mean? So you do follow those basic rules to make sure that they are like easily personified, you know? So here we are, checking again. We're gonna go in with the fingernails now, because I'm ready for that. We're just going to make sure that the fingers are pointing down. So I'm just going to draw a line there, make sure it curves outwardly. You know what I'm saying? Making sure it curves outwardly, because the position of your finger, of the way you draw fingernails, like can change the direction of the finger and the angle of the finger, more like. So like if I were to draw the fingernails like this, where it's curving up, and then we have like that, the finger is now like pointing upwards. But if we go back to how it was before, which we can't do because I messed that up. If we go back to the way it was before, then they're now pointing down. So you can make it point up if you want to, but for the sake of following the reference, I'm just going to make them point downwards. And I like to make mine a rectangle shape because rectangles are easy and they come easily to me. So yeah, now we're gonna finish off with this pointer finger here, curving the edge a little bit more. I don't do too much shape to this. I'm fine with it being a tube-like shape, but I do like to add the creases in the finger. So I'll add one down here. I'll add one in the middle here, and by the base where the finger is connecting to, oh, wrong direction, where the finger is connecting to the hand. Thumb fingernail, gotta make sure not to forget the thumb fingernail. Very neglected part of the hand. Personally, not a huge fan. I don't know why they're so confusing for me. I get them wrong like so much. Like what the heck? Come on, please be easier. And then we're gonna just cut that off. Oh, nope, we did something wrong. Oh, there we are. Going back to my original sketch because I needed the help. And gonna get that wrist down. We have a tendon there for here. Contemplating on whether to actually draw that or not. We'll try it, right? We'll try it out, see what happens. We're gonna get rid of our sketch, or that last sketch, and erase this here. See, this is where we've hit a roadblock, cause I don't know what, like, okay, the thing about when you're coloring people with like melanated skin, right? Our palms are different color than the back of our hands. So when you look at reference photos of, black people, are like, there's a line here, and like it's a crease, but knowing if to draw or not, like I have a hard time knowing to draw or not. So that's what I'm doing right now, trying to figure that out. I think I might draw a part of it, like the middle part here. Yeah, I'll draw the middle part, and then I'll draw the tendon going down there. Maybe not. I might leave it at that. And curve out this finger. Oh, another cheat, if you have an Apple Pencil, and this is for any, like, using the Apple Pencil at all, if you double tap it, it will switch from a brush tool to eraser tool. And I do that a lot because sometimes, like, the simple action of going and clicking the eraser is too much sometimes. So I like to just go ahead and use that double tap cheat. It comes in handy. It doesn't always work, but for the most part it does. You have to have like some pretty good contact, it seems, for it to cooperate fully. Yeah, we're gonna get this under here. And final little touches, making sure that everything looks proportionate. Getting our creases in there. Creases are very important. They show movement. They show that something is happening with the hand, that it's moving correctly, all that good stuff. Yeah, I think we're done. We got a rough sketch, no line art, but it's rough. We had to use 2 layers, but we got there. And yeah, that's how I drew this hand. So this is a rough sketch, but rough sketches aren't supposed to be perfect. They're just supposed to be generally correct for the line art. I hope that this helped you pick up some tricks on how to draw hands a little easier. Drop a comment down below of what drawing tutorials you would like to see next. Follow me on Instagram at Bella of My Froggy Stuff, and us on Instagram at My Froggy Stuff and The Frog Vlog. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and enjoy this 6-hour speed paint. I don't know why it took me 6 hours. It's so simple, but roll the footage.
You're the only thing I'm holding on to, anywhere and anything.